Alright, look. I'm driving right now and I was listening to something and it was talking about this drug called xylazine. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, like some shit called Trank. And I mean, I know my YouTube ain't popping or nothing, like I only got a couple people who probably watch this shit, but you know, if anyone's like familiar with like overdoses or like fentanyl use and just drugs in general, but not just, I'm not talking about just like weed or whatever, but you know, like people who like use heroin and shit like that. You know, heroin like predominantly like is affected by like fentanyl, but obviously now like it's made its way into a lot of shit like pills and like lean and so many different things, including weed. You know, people are funky and put that shit in weed. But I just watched this video or listened to it, and it's talking about xylazine, you know, Trank. And it pretty much says that these fools are putting it in dope, you know, heroin, are mostly that, you know. But the thing is, it's an animal tranquilizer. And the thing with the animal tranquilizer versus like fentanyl is considered an opioid. You know, so if you or somebody you know is overdosing, you know, you can administer Narcan, which is something that they spray into your nose, and it reverses the effect of opioid. Or opiate, you know, opioids, and it could save your life. It probably will save your life if you use it. And you know, so if people who use, you know, like they keep that shit in here because you know they're trying. It's like people who are using, you know, but they don't want to die. Regardless if they're scared or not, but they just don't want to die. You know, what they try to do is they try to push it to the limit. Because obviously overdose, exactly the name is, you overdose. Like, you use too much than your body can handle. Despite, you know, I know everybody got tolerances and shit, especially if you use drugs. You know, your tolerance could be way different. And you know, something that one person could just use right off the bat could drop dead. Somebody else could use it daily. And so Narcan could save your life in an event like that. But the thing is, with this new drug, Trank, or I don't even remember the fucking name now, but Trank, since it's not an opiate, using Narcan won't do nothing because it's a tranquilizer. And what a tranquilizer does, it pretty much just like, you know, like I'm sure like you've seen people get hit with like a blow dart and they fall asleep, or like an animal, you know, they shoot them with it and they go to bed. It's the same thing. It slows your body down. So imagine a drug like these fools are using it with fentanyl, or these fools are using it with heroin. So something that's already slowing your heart rate and slowing your body down in a euphoric way, then you add something that slows it down completely even more. What the fuck? Something that slows it down completely even more. Like that's just no good. That's just a recipe for trouble, you know? And so I just warn everybody, you know, if you use drugs, you know, it sucks to say, but check your drugs. You know, there's a lot of ways you could do it, you know. And if you decide that you want to use drugs, or regardless of what's out there you're gonna use, you know, just do it the right way. You know, people say like, oh, why are these places giving out free needles, or why are these places giving out kits to solve your drug, like to test your drugs? Like, you're just making it easier for them. Look, somebody's gonna use regardless. It don't matter if they fucking find a needle off the floor and they're fucking dying to find the needle. They'll use whatever they want to use if they're addicted, for real. Because that's what addiction does. Addiction will send you to whatever bottom you want, you know. And the thing with that is, if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. You might as well provide them with the tools so then they don't get sick. You know, sharing needles. You know, if they're already suffering from addiction, the last thing they need is hepatitis. You know, the last thing they need is AIDS. You know, and so many other things from spreading needles, spreading diseases, bacteria. And also what comes with just using a dirty needle with bacteria, along from AIDS and stuff like that, could lead to infection, could lead to sepsis. If you ever seen heroin users with big old scabs on their arms, and it looks like it looked like a fucking zombie, like not how they look physically, but like their arms and their body parts, because wherever they slam and shoot up, you know, it affects their body, you know. And that could also be from, I know it's just from the infection, you know, from where you shoot it, but it also could be from infection, bacteria, using dirty needles, not keeping them clean, not having sterile equipment. So that's why we give them out. Because if they're going to use already, we might as well prevent the spread of something like that and at least help them. Because maybe one day they may decide to get clean. Maybe if they're homeless, they may decide to get off the street. But you know what's going to suck? If one day they decide to get off the street, and if when they were using, they're affected by their decisions then. So the least we could do is help prevent it. Because you don't want to get clean and then be like, oh shit, I'm suffering now with sepsis, whatever it's called, or AIDS, or hepatitis, because most of those things will kill you. And I know there's medicine, but if you're already in a position where you're homeless and shit like that, maybe it might be harder to get back on your feet. Maybe you just might get off your feet enough to be able to stay clean, but like now you're still gonna deal with the repercussions of your using. So the least we could do is provide them with the proper tools to use and be safe in the way they're using. And with the drug testing is because, okay, they're still gonna use, but maybe they don't want to drop dead. So, and you know what? Some people use fentanyl intentionally, you know, because they know it's stronger. They don't gotta use as much. But the thing is, it's so strong, it's so potent. Like a couple grains of salt worth of fentanyl will kill you. We're just like heroin, you know, people can slam a gram if their tolerance is high enough. And but it's important because let's say somebody who's gonna slam, or I don't know, I shouldn't be using those terms, you know, sorry, but somebody who's gonna use heroin, you know, their dosage, you know, something they think that they're used to, or they're like, oh, like these people around them, like they keep ODing, and then they're like, oh, it must be some good shit, like maybe I won't take as much, or like, well, I don't need to dose that shit because like I'm already using this amount, like I'm already got a tolerance, like I'm straight. And then they go to use it, and it ends up being fentanyl, or there's fentanyl in it, and then they drop dead because, bro, they just used like 3 times what would kill them, you know. But that's why it's important that we it's very important that we give out these tests to the people who are using, because this shit look dirty. Oh, it's just a mask, guys. This shit ain't dirty, don't worry. That's why it's very important that we do give out the test, because like the same thing with the needles, is like, you know what, maybe one day they would want to change. Maybe they one day would want to get clean or get sober, whatever. But they can't do that if they're dead, you know? So that's why we just give people the opportunity, you know, to test drugs, you know, because especially like let's just say someone who ain't an addict, let's just say someone who's gonna go get a beer, or alcoholic, let's just say they ain't that and they want to go get a beer. Like, wouldn't it suck if like you went to the store like to buy like a tall can, and then you drink it and then like you don't even catch a buzz? Like, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, and you find out like it's just seltzer or something, like you'd be like, bro, what the fuck? Like, these fools just jib me on my couple bucks. So you'd want to get what you want to get. And it's the same thing with like using other drugs for people like that. Like, they want to make sure that they're getting what they're paying for, bro. And like on top of that, on top of not just getting scammed, and like and putting something else in your body that could be potentially harmful, you know, like how people fucking put other drugs, like, or hey bro, like I sold this fool like a bag of baking soda or like a bag of Ajax. Like, bro, that's not good. And so it's the same shit. On top of that, is like, you know, they want to make sure that, hey bro, like I want to use, I'm not ready to give up this habit yet, but I don't want to die, so I at least want to make sure I'm getting the proper shit. I don't want to be getting no fentanyl. I have a not me, but like someone, let's just say they're like, I have a heroin problem, but I'm not ready to kick it yet. I'm not ready to go to rehab or withdrawals or methadone, whatever, you know. So I would just want to make sure I'm getting what I need, you know. That's very important. And even somebody who, they don't care if they OD or not, but they just want to make sure they're getting that fentanyl shit, you know. So that's why all these things are important. And I know I went a little off topic about the other thing, but you know what, if you got a problem, you know, it's never gonna get better. It's only ever gonna get worse. And you know I never been on heroin, I know I never been on these things, but like, it don't matter. You do something long enough, you know, it's gonna fucking turn out bad. And I've been to AA, I've been to NA, you know? That don't mean I'm an alcoholic or an addict, but I know God put me in there for a reason. And look at this. I don't have those stories that like, oh man, I OD'd, this and that, someone had to find me. But look at this. I went to those meetings, and look what I'm able to do now. I'm able to talk about this, and I'm able to talk about it with knowledge. You feel me? Like, the things that I noticed in there is there's only 3 things promised if you're using as an addict or alcoholic: death, jail, or institution. An institution being like a mental, you know? So if you keep slamming or using heroin, chances are you're eventually going to die. You know, if it ain't from an OD, eventually your body's going to shut down. And if you keep using heroin, you might end up in jail. You might end up in jail for using it. You might end up in jail for stealing or whatever you got to do to get it. You might get up in jail because maybe you're supporting your habit by selling it. So that's another reason. An institution, because your heroin use, any drug affects your body in some way. You know what I mean? So you might have a mental shift, and you don't want to end up in a mental institution or something like that. But those are the 3 things that are promised, because it's not like, hey bro, if you use heroin, like you're gonna end up getting a fucking CEO position. Nah, bro, that shit ain't promised. Those 3 things are promised to you, because it's not like like this might happen. No, it's only one of those 3 choices. Like, you got no other options if you keep using. Like, you're either going to die one day because of your use, you're either going to go to jail because of your use, or you're either going to end up in a mental institution because of your use. That's it. There's no other option. There's no other route of life to go once you go down that one. So the thing is, stay away from that shit. Don't try it if you haven't. If you have, even if you ain't ready, there ain't never a right time to get clean. There ain't never a right time to get sober. You got to make the time that you choose that time. You feel me? Like, you're always going to be uncomfortable. You know, I know that there's times where people hit a bottom, or there's something happens where like, man, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I'm done. And they have a change of heart, and God lifts that addiction from you. But you feel me? Like, not everyone has that moment, and that's what's hard. But the thing is, you can't sit around and be like, oh, when the time is right, I'll do it. No, you got to make it the right time. You got to be you got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So you feel me? Like, if you use it or something like that, try to get off that shit. Kick it. Go to rehab as soon as you can. And I know you got to be ready to get the help you want. But you feel me? I understand that. But the thing is, if you feel like, hey man, this message, like, it touched you or something, maybe it's time for you to go get that fucking help that you need. Whatever your drug of choice is, whatever your issue is, it might not even be a drug. Maybe you got a gambling addiction. Maybe you got a porn addiction. Maybe you got some sort of addiction for even fucking biting your nails. But go get the help you need. Go start today. Start to change your life. I remember when I stopped smoking bud, and I'm not saying I'm not gonna smoke ever again, or I'm gonna drink ever again, because I could. I don't know if I will or not. But the thing is, I remember the first night I stopped, and that shit was hard, because like, I always wanted to go out with a bang. I always wanted to like smoke one last one or whatever. But one last one, it's never gonna be enough. You feel me? So like, you got, in the night I did it, I was waiting till midnight. Like, I wanted to smoke before midnight to get one last one in, because I wanted to make the next day like my start. And I remember I missed I mistimed. How do you say it? Like, I lost track of time. And it was already midnight, and I was like, fuck, like, I know if I smoke, like, I won't be able to say this in my first day. And now, like, so ever since that day, I've been just wanting, like, I've been waiting for that high. You feel me? Like, I didn't leave off on the note I wanted to. So I was yearning for that high. So just to say, not everybody got that right moment, but but if it's the moment you gotta take, it don't matter if it's the moment that you want, it's the moment that you gotta take regardless. So just get out there and do it, because every day you don't do it is every day you're gonna lose down the road. You feel me? So if you got 100 days left of your life, you could spend these next 20, you know, saying that you want to quit and waiting for the right moment. And maybe at 30 days, maybe you OD or some shit, and you're like, all right, I'm ready. But now you only got like 70 days left, bro. When like, in reality, like, you could have fucking just like taken the initiative and been like, you know what? I know there's not a right moment to get sober or clean, but you know what? I'm going to make today the moment, even if it's uncomfortable for me. So I just encourage everybody to, whatever they're struggling with, you know, go out there and try to get help, or reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, reach out for whatever addiction, whatever struggle you got. Reach out, because you know there's a lot of things that could kill you, and it don't got to be getting hurt by somebody else. You could do a lot to yourself, you know. So just reach out, you know, because that shit sucks to see, like on the news, people are dropping dead, or how many people have died from fentanyl in the last year, how many people have OD'd, how many people just tried one pill, fool. They aren't even a fucking addict or alcoholic, and they took one pill, fool, just to fucking try it. Or one of their friends said, hey bro, like take this, like somebody gave it to me, and like they haven't even fucking popped it yet, and then their homeboy just dropped dead, or their family member just dropped dead. You know, so it ain't just addicts or alcoholics. Like, this is a bad problem. But the thing is, it's just with drug use, you know, like we've just promoted drug use in culture so much that it's hard to go back. But the thing is, we got to start going back. We got to help these next generation, because I'm only 22 now. I just turned 22. This is my second birthday. I just had the last week. This is my second birthday I was sober, bro. So that shit's hard, you feel me? But the thing is, everyone above me and everyone a couple years below me, you know, they've already been exposed. But it's the people who are like still under 10, or like still under like 14. And I know I was already smoking weed before that and drinking. And I know that there's some exceptions. Some people start even using before they're 10 years old, different shit. But the thing is, the people who are still young,